There it is. Okay, so do we have Lisa and
Lisa's here.
there's Lisa. Okay.
I see Ryan.
There's Ryan.
Ryan is connecting.
I don't want to be on video.
It's Hillary.
And where's Laura?
Hey guys.
Hey Ryan.
There's Ryan.
That's video.
Oh, you guys hear me? I got a new dock for my computer, and people have been saying it's off.
We can hear you. We can hear you, Ryan.
Okay.
The only person I don't see is Lisa.
Lisa's
Laura.
here.
Laura.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Laura. But nobody else is in the waiting room?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Well, we can still pass it though. So
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Hillary Lindbergh. This call is planned for 1 hour. It'll be a little different than our normal meeting because we have some guests from Rockland Academy that want to give an update on our school. So during that update, you guys can write any questions in the chat that you have, and we'll have some time after to go over them. And then after that, we'll move on to the rest of our agenda. I have sent the agenda to the other board members and Ms. Parrott. And we have October and November minutes that are ready to approve. And I have forwarded them to the other board members for approval. Does anyone see any corrections? No? Okay. Seeing that, a motion would be in order.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second that.
Okay, so how do I do that? All in favor?
Motion made and seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, so I'll go ahead and give the floor to Ms. Parrott now.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us tonight. We are very, very excited to be able to meet with families tonight, to be able to talk about our amazing school and kind of our vision of where we are headed in the future, both next year and then kind of that beyond. And so to support us in that conversation tonight and to help share some information about where we are and where we're going, we have some guests with us tonight. So I would like to introduce them, and then I will hand off kind of the hosting rights to Ace Ensign, who will be the first person I introduce. He is our, oh my goodness, why did I just lose it? It's because it's 6 o'clock at night. Our Director of Finance. He is here with us tonight. We also have Dr. Robin Stout. She is our district superintendent, our organization superintendent.
Good evening.
And then we have 2 members of our school board, Larry Stieber and Tim Klotz, who are also here to be able to share this information with you. So Ace, I believe, is going to share a screen so that we can all see the presentation together. Like Hillary said, there will be time built in at the end of the information that is shared for families to ask questions specific to our facilities plan. And then when we are kind of at a point where we feel like we can move on with the rest of the PSP meeting, we will jump back into our more traditional agenda. But Ace, I will go ahead and let you take over. The chat box is going to be open, so if you have questions as we go, feel free to collect those, and I will be jotting those down. Also, you can save your questions, and we can ask in person at the end of the presentation as well.
Great. So thank you very much. And just before I get started, everyone can see the Rockland Academy Family of Schools, American River logo kind of up there in the front. I got a thumbs up, so that's great. Even before starting, I will say I can see there's 23 participants in here, which is absolutely amazing. That's more than a lot of our board meetings or our finance committee meetings. So thank you all for coming out and taking the time just to kind of spend a little bit of it here with us today. Turn it on. Okay, so our goals for today, we're just going to go through and understand some of the charter school facilities and kind of how that process works. We'll be providing an update and rationale on the land on Antelope Road. We'll be having an open discussion on next year and beyond. And then just like always, we'll take a look at kind of next steps and how we can help one another get across the goals that we really want to get across. So how do facilities for our schools work? So traditional public schools and public charter schools do have some very distinct differences, and we'll go through a couple of these items with you today. Actually, I think I skipped a slide. I did here. Okay, sorry. So first, I was like, I knew I had some shameless plugs in here. So first off, we have LCAP and budget workshops. So the LCAP is the Local Control Accountability Plan. We do those along with our budget workshops just to kind of go through at the site level with staff and with families in a presentation format, very similar to this. We'll do those in February and March of 2023. So just something to look forward to. Some of the differences between charters and school districts are that we have what's called a charter. That's really kind of what defines our ability to operate. And with that comes along authorizer oversight. So for American River Collegiate Academy, for example, Sacramento County Office of Education is our authorizer. What that means is they review our education program as well as our finances. They do that on a very regular basis. And as part of that, we pay off the top 1% of our revenues directly to our authorizer as doing a portion of that. That is unique to charter schools and something that comes directly out of our general fund budgets. Additionally, something that's very unique to us is that we pay for our own facilities from the general fund, which from my previous slide, you'll see that's where we're going to be spending most of our time discussing today. Along with that, we are also responsible for organizational stability, meaning we really have to kind of run and operate much more like a traditional business in that there is really no state bailout, there is no state safety net. If something were to happen with our organization, there is no one really to come through and rescue us. Whereas if you'll see traditional districts like Oakland Unified, some of the others, if they spend too much money and they go into what's called state receivership, the state just comes in and basically rescues them. So we're at a very different situation than that. So we do our organizational stability both at each individual site level, as well as at the organization in total to really make sure that we can function and continue to provide support for our students and our families. And just kind of as a lead in, we are highly sustainable and we are very stable. So we are not in any risk of any concern, even with a very small school, as we'll kind of work our way through. So how do facilities work for schools? So traditional public schools, as we talked about just real briefly, the way that they get their funding is that it actually comes in through bonds or Melloru's or CFDs, which are community finance districts. That is money on top of their general fund. So those are dollars that actually come in above and beyond what they get as a local control funding formula. And those are used to basically pay for those facilities. So you'll have property tax revenues. You'll have something on your property tax bill. That's how those schools are actually funded. Charter schools, on the other hand, those actually come directly out of the general fund. So our monies for either rent or mortgage, any of those come out of our general fund. So not only do we not get the money from the state of California, but we have that additional hit, which comes from actually having to pay those facilities costs out of general fund. So some of those range from 10% to 20% of total expenses, depending on each of our different school sites. So just a little bit of a walk back through history. So before we talk about the land, just kind of working our way through kind of the history of this. And so it's really important to understand where we came from the past couple of years. You'll recall that we opened right at the cusp of the pandemic. So right during that 2020-21 school year, those of you who were brave enough to join us right during that pandemic, I am still very thankful for that. I think that's a monumental event, and it really kind of shows the dedication that you have with your kids in trying to seek, in my opinion, something that is a better educational perspective. So just thank you off the top for those who have decided to come and bring your kids here for the education of our schools. So when we started that charter petition back in 2020-21, our initial budget projections based on enrollment were 144 students to open in 21, then growing through the 2 subsequent years up to about 300 students in this current school year. As we walked into our initial facility, just from being there, 144 students on our campus currently would be a very tight fit. And just with that perspective of kind of growing to 216 in year 2 and then growing to 300 in year 3, that really wasn't feasible in that current scenario with that current facility. What that did was that led us to working through with Turner Impact on trying to identify a long-term plan to really kind of establish ourselves, because we knew in year 2, we were going to need to get to 216 kids and have a place to go for them. So that's really kind of what led us down the path of working with Turner Impact. We got through our initial budget projections and started looking at the initial budget, the project cost. That project cost was estimated to be somewhere between $12 and $14 million. So that kind of led us in, knowing we're going to come through, knowing we want a long-term facility. That's what kind of led us down the path. You'll recall in 2020-21, when we actually opened our doors, we had 31 students on day 1. Our second year, so 21-22, we had 60 students. But what we did was we knew we still were going to be bouncing back. We thought the pandemic was going to be a very short wind. So before we even got into our second year, we continued down the path with Turner Impact to really kind of work our way through, still assuming we're going to bounce right back and be at 216 students, which again is too many kids to house on the current campus. So that led us to working our way through the land. So we're now in 22-23 school year. Our current enrollment, we projected as we walked in this budget for 108. It's currently somewhere around 80 students. And we originally thought we'd be at about 300 kids by now. To date, we had been working through with Turner Impact and kind of extending the land to come through for the final to have the really decision made by the end of this December. To date, we have invested over $1.7 million, and that's at cash out of pocket. So that's money actually expended from the general fund, as opposed to being able to roll that into like a mortgage or a bond. An anticipated project cost of approximately $20 million. So it went from $12 to $14 million to approximately $20 million. So what that led us to was really kind of deciding and making the business decision that we were not able to pursue with the land purchase, and Turner Impact has actually gone through and canceled that agreement. What that means is we are by no means giving up, and that will line into our next slide. We are very much committed to our students into the city of Citrus Heights. We do currently have room at our current location for for next school year, 23-24 school year, based on enrollment. We are working our way through and developing multiple scenarios for classroom learning spaces. Some of those examples are additional classroom space, redesigning current space, and more. We're also working on potential play area and/or additional features. That takes us for 23-24 school year. As we look at 24-25, which is a year from next school year, we're working on multiple viable scenarios. So those would include a long-term facility in Citrus Heights, looking at a lease with the ability to grow. We are currently in negotiations, which is why I can't speak to it. So I know I'm being a little vague, and I absolutely apologize for that. There's just really not a lot that I can share. I wish I could share more right now because we are quite excited, and we'll talk a bit about more of that as we continue to go through. But really kind of working our way through those current negotiations. The facility that we're looking at is in Citrus Heights. It would provide additional space to grow. It is something we are very, very excited for, and we'll share more out, and we're committed to sharing more out, as you'll see on the next slide, in the early February and March here of next year. The reason why is we need to get our enrollment and our numbers and get into an actual agreement and walk through our finances with them so they know exactly where we are. Then we can share out exactly the space of where we are. So I'm going to transfer that over to Susie now to kind of finish it up.
So we are, staff is aware, we are aware that we are going to be where we are next year. And that we are going to continue to call the school that we have right now our home for another year, and that we are really, really committed to working with our families, working with our students, working with our teachers and our amazing district leaders to really help continue to enhance where we are and make moves that need to be made to make the space that we have meaningful for the students that we have on campus. We are committed to continuing to grow next year and being that TK4 grade. Those kids are going to be in fourth grade next year, TK through fourth grade, and we are ready to support them and continue on doing what we know is working. We are taking that math test right now. We are seeing that growth in numbers. We are seeing students that are proud of themselves. Our teachers are feeling super accomplished. And we know that we are still offering the students that enrolled at our school something special and something that is above and beyond what we know they have available to them at other schools that they could be going to. So we want to continue to grow. That is still our goal. I am committed to the school. I'm committed to our families, our students, our teachers, and I know they would echo the same thing. We still have that belief that this could be and will be a school that will continue to impact the Citrus Heights community in such a positive way. And the more that we can deliver that outreach and the more that we can bring new students in, the more our community, which we have such a solid core of right now, will continue to grow in a really, really meaningful way. So right now where we are at is really that crucial time because we know that our application window is opening January 1st. And we are so excited to just be welcoming in as many families and new students as we can. So word of mouth is still our very, very best way that we know we can spread the word. The testimonials that you are giving your friends, that you are giving families, that you are sharing on social media, that is historically the way that we have seen our schools and our programs grow is through those meaningful connections with students who are already enrolled. So please continue to tell your friends, talk about us, bring friends, bring families to community events that we have that we'll talk about later in our PSP meeting. Have them contact the school. We are getting ready to have some information nights that are coming up in both January and February. We'll have in-person information nights this year, as well as virtual options to help families reach us the best way they can. Our information nights will be coupled with school tours because we know how important it is for families to be able to be on campus and be able to envision where their student is going to be learning. So let them know that those dates are coming up. They are on our website. They can sign up for those right now if they would like to. If those dates don't work, I have been taking phone calls and talking with prospective families for the last few weeks. We have had tons of interest and calls already and are really already pushing people to save the date for that January 1st, get your application in and mark American River as your top choice. But we also are being as accommodating as we can and providing even private tours if families want them, and that will help them to make those decisions to take a chance and jump on board with us onto something that we know is moving in the right direction. So those are ways that you can help, is really just doing what you have been doing. We've been growing every year, right? From 30 doubling to 60, again, almost doubling again to 80. We know next year we are on a trajectory for growth. So please just do what you're doing. Tell everybody how much your students love their teachers. They love our school. We are continuing to add so many events. Our PSP is working so hard. And we are just so excited to welcome in all the new families that we can take. So that is really right now how we know starting tomorrow morning, you can go out and help with kind of our endeavor. We also, though, know that your brain is probably spinning right now, knowing that we are on a solid plan for staying where we are. So we know that that is probably leading to lots of questions and you having lots of feedback and ideas. I've gotten so many amazing ideas from families just since joining this team. And so we want to make sure that you have an outlet to be able to share those questions or share ideas with us about ways that we can continue to make our home campus the best that it can be. We are talking with students, just so you know, and getting their perspective and feedback of what they feel like would make school a better place for them. We are talking with teachers, and we want feedback from you too. So you might have noticed that there was not an Otter News that was sent out today. That is because we want to ensure that all families, if they were not able to attend tonight, are able to get this information coupled with a Google survey link that will provide access for you to share ideas with us about ways we can enhance our campus. It will also give you an opportunity to say, hey, if we're looking at other areas in Citrus Heights or other buildings, I have an idea of a place that I think could be an amazing long-term facility. And we'll also give you a chance to share any ideas you have about new ways that we can market in the communities that we live in that we know would be really, really great for your neighborhood. So that will be coming out in tomorrow's Otter News. So please keep a lookout for that. Please share any ideas and feedback that you have. We really do. Dr. Stout, ACE, our board, we really do take those to heart. We read them, we go through them, and your words make such a difference. And your ideas are often put into action. So please take some time to do that and let us know if you have any questions. Like Ace was saying, some of those next steps that we are going to do is continue. I know that they are continuing working over the holiday break on those negotiations they were discussing. Myself and our team will really be tracking those applications as they come in to be looking at how many students we have potentially coming in all of our grade levels to make the most impactful changes that we need to, if needed, on our current campus. And then we are committed to keeping you in the loop and keeping you part of this discussion and part of this process. So we will be having a follow-up meeting by the end of March to, again, make sure all of our families are with us as we move forward on kind of this journey for the and beyond, right? We know about next year, but we want you to be with us and to be in the know. So we are committed to recalling a meeting where you will be able to hear some of those decisions that are currently in negotiations or any next steps that we have. So at this time, if you have any questions for us, we would be happy to take those in. I noticed that the chat is still empty, which probably just means that you were so enthralled with all the words that we were sharing. But if you have any questions, feel free you can unmute and ask, or you can continue to use that chat box. If you don't have questions right now, you can also hold those until that survey comes out tomorrow.
Well, Susie, I will start to help people get prepared for questions.
Great.
And I will just say this as a parent, not as a PSP treasurer, that I'm very disheartened by this. It feels like I was sold a little bit of a product that, we got on school board meetings and, said what we wanted for our community and it fell through. So it's difficult because we put our kid in there in kindergarten. So I know you can't talk about the negotiations, but I would like to know, so maybe a couple questions in a row. The negotiations, are they only for the year 24? Or are they possibly for next year? Like, could we just pick up and move next year if those negotiations go well? Could we move to a new campus right away? With the church, we're dealing with a lot of issues. Lately it's been threats. We've had days, there's certainly days that the schedule of school is built around some of the church days that are unavailable to us because of the church having events and stuff like that. So it makes it difficult as the PSP to even be able to plan events for our kids because the church has a very strict schedule of, maybe one Thursday is available every 2 weeks or something. And it makes it difficult for us. Have we talked to the church about this, and are they really going to care about us for the next year, the next school year, when they know we're leaving? I mean, they know we're out of there in 24, most likely. And then the reality of it, and I know this is a question there's going to be a broad answer to it, and I know I'm expecting the broad answer is, how can we enroll when we really don't have room? I mean, if we enroll 100 kids, we just don't have room for 100 kids. If I go out there and really try and make an effort, we just don't have, if we talk it up as much as we can and 100 people sign up, we're going to tell people they can't come because we can't fit 100 kids at that school. So those are my 3 questions. And maybe that'll get other people's brains to work.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll respond as open as I can, right? So because I know that this is hard just because we are in very collaborative negotiations. So kind of working our way through. So kind of responding to the 23-24, the facility we're looking at currently would require tenant improvements. So just having those get done, working our way through negotiations with the city. So the city of Citrus Heights has been very, very supportive, as all of you, I believe, know. So just kind of working our way through. We do have a very good relationship with them, but kind of working our way through and trying to get the timing done for things to happen. They don't tend to happen as quickly as I would like them to, just working with governmental entities and with the cities, even though they're on our side, they're on our team, kind of working our way through and having that structured before 23-24 is unlikely, which is why we're securing in. We need to have a spot for this coming year. Regarding the caring about us, I will say Mary Frank, who's over there at the temple, I was talking with her earlier today. They absolutely love us being there. So the other items that we talked about for the timing and kind of working our way through, I think absolutely share that information. We will work with the temple and kind of with their timing on what's available, what can we do. We are exploring a multitude of items. So as Susie mentioned, kind of looking at what the enrollment basis goes and whether we're going to have 10 TK kids or 20 TK kids next year. How many kindergartens, how many first grade, and kind of what spaces do they need? And as the kids get older, they need more and more space to really expand and grow and kind of move, right? So then kind of to adjust that. We're looking at all those scenarios to kind of try and do exactly what we can and explore what options really are available. So I hope that's a clear enough path, but from the 23-24. So hopefully that's open enough. Honestly, I cannot wait until we can share some more information because I think it will be really good.
Ace, do you mind if I jump in for a second?
Yeah. Go ahead. You go, Larry, and then I'll go.
Okay.
Unless you're going to say what I'm going to say.
Probably. I just want to share with everybody on behalf of the board, we are also disheartened by the path that is taken. But just to clarify a couple things, even if we had continued on the path of the acquisition and the building the school, it would have still taken a couple of years. The building process is extremely slow. But again, knowing that we can't talk in great detail about the location, what's very exciting is that allows us to grow, and Robin, correct me if I'm saying something wrong here, from K all the way through 12 on that site. So it would not be limited to just a K through 6 or K through 8. This location allows us to house an entire organization there that could house. How many students did you anticipate, Robin? Maybe we could hold there, or Ace?
We haven't run the
It's it's a large facility. Our charter, we wrote our charter with the intention of being a K through 12, and then we went back with TK and revised it to a TK through 12. So it's always been our intention to provide the Citrus Heights options for TK through 12. But what I just wanted to piggyback on, Larry, I'm glad that you started with just the board being disheartened. We get it, and it hurts us too when you say that it's that you were sold something, because we really truly believed pre-pandemic that we would be replicating our model in Rockland and bringing that to the community of Citrus Heights. And hopefully by us, each month continuing in good faith to that land, hoping that we would get there over the last how long, I don't know how it's been, but we've put, 1.9 million as an organization that the board has continued to say, we're going to do it. So just know that all of us absolutely had the goal and intention to be there. And we truly have done everything possible, but with just the tremendous increase of the facility being from $12 to $20 million, that's not fair for our students, for you, our staff, because we want to make sure that we're giving the best program possible with as much resources as possible. So that's what led us to making the decision instead of let's make a decision and let's start looking for we've been looking for alternatives, and then finding a place was just exciting and a big relief. And it is hard not to be able to share that. And we're looking forward to when we can.
Which will be sooner than later.
So will you guys be able to share that information before that March follow-up, if you can?
We're hoping, yeah. So we need a letter of intent, but with that, like Ace said, we need to have our enrollment so that they have all of our finances. So yes, that's our goal, is at that March update to be able to share. And if not, then we'll be completely transparent of the progress that we've made and what we can and cannot share. But that is our goal and our hope.
So if there's any other questions from people, you guys can unmute yourselves. I see everybody's pretty much muted. So
we also know it's a lot to process right at the right time, right? So any of the follow-up questions, you think of something, please don't hesitate to reach out to Susie, to myself, to any of the board members, to Robin, to Dr. Stout. We are all in the same page and in the same boat. So please don't hesitate if something comes up later. Yeah.
maybe we need to at least sign up. All places.
And I've heard that from a lot of other parents too. So
Can I ask a question? When is the time frame that you have to make that decision?
And usually when you have to make that decision, you have to give them, it's like within 48 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Once you get accepted through a lottery, it's like 48 hours you have to pick, or they're going to move on to the next lottery person.
Absolutely. No, totally understand that. Totally
Very
understand.
quick turnover. Yeah.
I will share in regards to the timing, if we map it out. So what we're really trying to do is we are working behind the scenes over the holiday break to really try to get that letter of intent. That's really kind of the first step, and agree on kind of where the contract terms start from. So that's really kind of from a negotiation standpoint. So we can provide more regular updates. Over the next few weeks, there really won't be anything, just because timing and gathering board members. Our board meets on at least once a month. Our facilities team has been meeting really like every week, every other week, just to kind of work our way through the process, and just the timing on getting so many different scenarios evaluated in the manner of time that we had to get things done. I think it's kind of what led to the decision on kind of where we are. So the next steps on kind of the timing and working our way through, I think it's going to be a much faster pace than where we have been in the past. We're also not really waiting on a pandemic or anything else to kind of show where we are. The lottery numbers, the same thing that we talked about just a few minutes ago that are happening, same thing on our end in that February and March timeframe. That starts lining out kind of really where do we stand to start working our way through.
Sorry, Brittany.
That's okay. So if I understand correctly, if this thing you're working on goes through, we will have a facility sooner than if we were to proceed with the land, correct?
Very much so.
Yes.
Okay. That's what it sounded like to me. So it's potentially a better option because we'll get it faster.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, the only problem I see, and just to kind of compound on what Jordan is saying, is we're going to constantly be fighting the churn. As far as there's going to be a lot of kids that leave the school because they don't want to be on that temporary campus. And if you want us to try to, word them out to school, it's kind of hard to word them out to school when there's really not a plan and there's no transparency behind it. So even if we do get the enrollment numbers up, you're going to lose a bunch of students if we don't start being a little bit more transparent with what's going on.
Appreciate that.
So with everything you guys have said, let's say this doesn't work. This negotiations doesn't work out, and we go through next year at this location. Is there going to be room or is there going to be some process to get us into, like,
Academy.
is it Gateway Oaks or which one's the elementary school? The one that's already existing, to get our kids somewhere so we don't have to all be running out trying to find new schools for our kids in second, third, fourth grade. I mean, I think that's the scary part of people, is people don't want to move their kids from school when they're not moving addresses.
Right. Yeah, completely understood. And so please know that this is also not our only option. So if anything, we plan for far more options than kind of really what are available. This is really the way that I view it, is this is our best option or our best viable option kind of going forward. It makes the most sense. If I could explain and show you the plan, like, I think you'd be all in. This one kind of makes sense. That doesn't mean we're not pursuing everything else. If you know of a location in Citrus Heights, by all means, reach out, kind of get us going. I will say, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. We do share a district location with one of our schools in Rockland. That has not been an option for us locally, but it doesn't mean that we're giving up on even having that as an option. That's a very tough hill to climb, but it's still just to kind of show the level of options that we're really going for. The one that we're explaining is really the most viable, longest term, best option as we see it right now.
Ace, can I jump in on that a little bit also? To be very honest, Tim and I have been involved in this from day one. And at least speaking for myself, if the option that we're currently negotiating with was available a couple of years ago, I personally would have jumped at it then. This is not settling. I think it's truly an excellent, excellent location that when we can, when everybody can see it, and as we go through with this, we hope that it will delight everybody. It crosses off all the boxes that we've been looking for. I'm personally very positive on it.
What potential roadblocks are there in the negotiations right now for this particular location? Like is there a uphill battle that needs to be faced in order to reach a negotiation? And do enrollment numbers have anything to do with Raphos entering into a lease for that location?
Short answer is no. So not a lot of roadblocks. So the city of Citrus Heights was one who was actually very involved and met us on day one to look at this location. We met with the three partners who own the building. They are heavily involved. And one of the things that which I understand it kind of lines into a book, one of the things that they were talking about was kind of taking good to great, right? And kind of just working their way through. They are, I think, as excited about having us in Citrus Heights as we are about being in Citrus Heights. So I think it's a very good, from a partnership perspective, kind of to work our way through. So it's not without, I don't even want to use the word challenge because it's not really that. It's more, there's some milestones to cross as we enter in from the agreement, working our way forward. I do not expect any part of it to be an uphill battle. I actually expect it to be an easier process than working through from a ground up construction perspective.
And then what about the second part about enrollment? Does enrollment have anything to do with acquiring or entering into this league?
Thank you. Enrollment is, as you know, lifeblood for the organization, but it does not play a part into a leased facility. What it would line into is kind of the amount of space that we lease on day one. I will share, we are looking to lease more space to start off so that we have the ability to grow and be able to open up. We know some of it's just a hindrance on families. And as we continue to add grade levels every single year, we're opening ourselves up to the ability to have more families. Because if you have right now a fifth grader and a third grader, that makes it very challenging to come to our school. As we get to a K6, a TK through 6, that's then going to add more options for families who may not have not been able to come through. So from an enrollment perspective, we're not waiting to hit any numbers per se. It's a matter of how much of the space do we actually include in the tenant improvements and kind of work our way out.
Ace, are any of the other locations leased right now?
Yeah, so currently we have one leased location, we have an owned location, and we have a district shared location. So we basically run the gamut.
Okay, so are there like future issues that could potentially happen with a leased facility, like renegotiations or anything?
Our experience has been very good. So we are, I don't want to toot the horn or anything, but we are very good at kind of building bridges. So kind of working with partners who share our values and really kind of share kind of the benefit of kids. So we haven't had any difficulty really kind of working our way through our leases. Our Gateway facility, for example, that's a 10-year lease. It was actually almost a 14-year lease. So from the time perspective, haven't really had any issues with those in the past.
Okay. I mean, I know everybody's disheartened and everything, and yeah, it's a bummer, but honestly, I was also concerned that if it took this long to get our first school, how long would it take to then get our middle school and our high school? So if you're saying, this is potentially through grade 12, I mean, honestly, this sounds like, I know it's disappointing to everybody, but I love our little school now, and I think it's a great starter. I went to school at a small school, and I loved it. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited about this new potential thing, so thank you.
Definitely. No, and it is, we are absolutely disheartened as well, but now we've kind of turned that corner and we're on the excited side of things. I will share in our facilities discussions, not one of them goes through without really, well, what's going to happen in grade 7? What's going to happen in grade 9? And kind of working the way up. So every single discussion, it's been more about that TK through 12 expansion. So we're excited as well.
I just want to add that my 2 cents are very much like Brittany's. Not everyone, I guess, is super bummed. I actually really also like the idea of it encouraging all the way through 12. That was definitely one thing that I was more concerned about versus the location itself. Was that before the transparency about going through 12 wasn't really there. So knowing that is the ultimate goal, I think helps me want to stay longer, if that makes sense.
It does. And that actually came up when we were discussing it with the staff as well. That was one of their first conversations was, I'm a kindergarten parent, right? I'm already thinking of kind of that 12th grade and kind of where to go. And as a parent myself, I totally get it. Makes perfect sense to me.
After watching the movie, it's probably almost over, actually. I'm listening to
Absolutely.
So what's going to be the next plan for communication from the school board on what's going on? Because I know we do these meetings once a month, but as you know from previous shares, plenty of parents, including myself, have done open enrollment, which of course we have until a certain deadline to accept that if we do get into the school we open enrolled to. So is this going to be something where we're going to be getting weekly updates, or I just don't want to wait another month? Because unfortunately, what's going to happen is it's going to be a vicious cycle. And sorry, pardon the music in the background. It's going to be a vicious cycle, and parents are going to leave. You're going to lose enrollment, and then you're going to need even more enrollment to keep everything going.
When's the next PSP meeting?
In January.
Yeah, it's in January. It's this, I believe it's the, second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday in January. Second Wednesday is always our meetings each month.
So January 11th.
I'm just I'm jotting down notes kind of as I go as well. So we do provide regular updates as part of admin report. So within the board of directors, so we typically have some type of a regular update. I don't necessarily have any issues with committing to kind of what's the status, kind of where you are. It may not be a whole lot in January. I would expect it to be a whole lot more by February, but a lot of it's really going to be kind of we're continuing on with these collaborative negotiations because a lot of it still has to kind of work its way through the board of directors. So I don't have an issue with, I'm a very open book, right? So kind of working our way through. I don't have an issue with kind of connecting and making sure we kind of share where we are. Again, January will probably be very light. I will commit to being at the PSP meeting in February for sure. And even potentially in January as well.
Ace, maybe I'm overstepping, but forgive me. I think it's important that one of us will be at every PSP meeting from now on updating, even if it's just, we don't have a lot, but, and again, trying to add to that transparency on this, that we will, if you're okay with it, one of us would be at each meeting.
Yeah, I will be at every PSP meeting going forward until Eric and Hillary tell me I can't be.
Yeah, that'd be appreciated. I think everybody would like that.
And I feel like from some conversations with people right now, like a location would be something we want to know as soon as you guys can tell us. I mean, whether it's a PSP meeting or not a PSP meeting, when you guys sign a letter of intent or something, anything that can tell us where the location is and that this is moving forward in any way, shape, or form. It could go out it could be a Monday newsletter if that's the day it happens. You could say, this is happening, because I think we all just want to know the truth as quickly as possible so we know what to do with our kids. And I think the other parents.
So real quick, and correct me if I'm wrong, Susie, and I don't know if you know anything about the admins, though I hear people saying they're concerned about being able to apply and accept at another school. I mean, as far as I'm aware, you can apply and accept at any school you want. And until the day they start school, you don't have to pull out of another school. So even if you get in on March to another school and say, okay, I'm going to give them, say, yes, I'm going, it doesn't mean you're unenrolled in our school. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Is that true? And then if we don't have information by then, we still have till, a couple months until that truly is like a set thing.
I was going to say that's true. We do rely on our letter of intent, so we will send out ACEs at January.
I believe they're getting.
Yes, but I guess my point is you can have multiple letters of intent out there.
Yes,
absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So they can put letters of intent at multiple schools, and until August 16th, that's when they have to truly make that decision.
You're correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ace, can you explain that your letter of intent is different than this, or is it not different than this?
Ours
the
are
one about signing an agreement with a facility.
Sorry. Yes. So letter of intent, meaning the real estate transaction.
I mean, we're doing it.
Correct. That's the one we're going through. The January 1st one is the student letter of intent that'll be going out saying, do you want to re-enroll your kiddo into American River for the 23-24 school
I
year?
just didn't want there to be any confusion with the term letter of intent for this.
Thank you.
Because, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If there's any more questions, this will be the time because we'll probably start moving on at this point. We don't want to keep everybody on the call too far past 7. And we don't have much business on the thing, but we do have to finish the call. So if anybody has any further questions, please ask them now.
I don't see anything coming up in the chat.
So let's move on. So
So I think probably for the sake that we could probably say that, and like I said, that survey will be coming out to families tomorrow through Otter News, that will have some of those guiding questions for you to be able to share your ideas and opinions. Also a place where you can ask questions, but also we are all very, very open. Feel free, if you think of something later, to continue to share it with us, and I will connect all of us back together. I'm probably the easiest person to reach out to begin with, but of course, if your questions need to be directed to Ace or any of the other members of our call tonight, we can definitely make sure that happens. But with that being said, Hillary, do you feel like you're ready to kind of pick up and move forward with the next part of our meeting?
Yeah.
All right. Ace, Robin, Larry, and Tim, you're welcome to stay.
you're welcome to stay.
Hang out or movie night if you'd like to, but
it won't be long.
Yeah. I think go that way in case you want to talk about me or anything, you can go ahead and do so.
Oh, that'll happen tomorrow at drop off.
Perfect. Happy and absolutely. Thank you all so much for your time. Absolutely appreciate everything you do. I appreciate the candor and just the openness to the discussion. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
we'll see you next month, Dave.
So you're recording.
Okay, so then we will move on to what I want to talk about a little bit. Is I would like to mention how
We have the kids.
huh?
We have those kids we can get.
Yeah, so since having those volunteers from Casa Robles worked out so well with the Fall Festival, I'm interested in seeing if we can get them again for possible monthly campus cleanup days. Some of you know that I've been the substitute yard duty there, and so I'm there every day and I see the kids, while they're playing. And one thing that annoys me is the rubber bark that's in the playground. It's all over, everywhere.
But these kids need hours and they're willing to do it. We had to, I think you and Brittany had to talk with him at the end, and they need
he was
hours.
saying that they need hours, and they'll do stuff like this. So having them, or even opening it up to parents, like if they want to come and help beautify our school, like the main thing is just getting the bark and the gravel and the leaves where they're supposed to be, and then I think that's kind of the main thing is the bark, the rubber bark.
So just thought.
So it's just a thought.
I can volunteer for a couple hours. I got plenty of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I don't know if you want to.
Okay, and then so moving on from that, I wanted to also thank Lisa for coming up with the Charleston Wrapped fundraiser, because that made us 900, and I wrote it down. Where to go? Lisa, do you remember how much
I think
it was
it's
exactly?
like $938. So
Yeah.
that was so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It's definitely
deposited
the
it
best one.
today, so that was nice.
That's fantastic.
So great idea. Thank you.
It's amazing.
And then let's see. We're going to move on to the treasurer.
So we have vouchers now. They're in the office. That's pretty much my report. We have vouchers there in the office. Still trying to reconcile with Terrell, who is the Rockland Academy accounting person, trying to figure out what was paid in the very beginning. But I think we're very close to reconciling everything to be exactly knowing what we have right now, and we're doing very well. So we're doing fine. But we do need to start the giving campaign. We should have started it at the beginning of the year.
We should have Ace.
Yeah, we should have Ace on here for that. But we need to do the giving campaign. I've already updated the website, but I don't think we should do it through the website. We only have 80 people at this school. We should just tell people to write checks and drop them off. The website takes money. There's no reason for us to make that website get money from it. We can just record it ourselves. I mean,
yeah, the website he's talking about is the Rally Up, which
and
was a link for last year,
but it takes so much money. It honestly, we only have 80 people. They all drop their kids off. There's a front desk. They can just drop a check off.
Yeah.
That's going to be our best way to do the annual giving. And then we'll, after the annual giving, after we do a couple months of that, maybe January and February, then we can really know how much money we have. We can figure out what we want to spend as that. We've been talking about some type of like gift at the end of the year, like the art thing or closet or something, so, and we know we got one more year at the school, so we'll figure it out. But I just wanted to let you know the vouchers are in the office. So when we have events or if teachers want to start buying stuff, they know what they can spend. I think it's up to $100 in the budget for them. And Susie,
that was just my question. I'm happy. I will share that. Teachers, April's probably like, what? More money. Do we want to release all 100 to them at once? Do we want to release it in 250s? Do you feel like knowing where we're at in the budget that we want a slow start, or should we just you're open to it? Just
yeah, and looking back on what and how they spent it on last year, I don't think there's an issue with letting it all go at once.
Lisa, Laura, Ryan, do you guys have any ideas on that?
No, but I do have a question. Do we actually have I know there's a Venmo set up, but is there a Venmo set up to be able for this giving campaign?
No.
Because I know there's not a lot of people that write checks anymore.
So what we could probably, if they feel like donating that way, then I would say we give them Hillary's Venmo. She'll write a check for it. Hopefully we don't have to pay taxes on it. We'll find out at the end of this year.
You will have.
Because if you make over $600 on Venmo, I heard you have to possibly start paying taxes. So.
Yeah.
Well, and depending on which kind of a bank account it's going to, which company, they also have what's called Zelle. So if any families happen to have access to Zelle, they can wire it.
So I can't set up a Zelle. I've tried to for this because it's still Rockland Academy's bank account. So okay. I can't set up any like I tried to set all these things up. Yeah. I can't do it because it's all still Rockland Academy. We're not a separate organization. We're just part of their, we're like a checking account built on their checking account. So it's very difficult.
And we even set up the Stripe, so it's called?
But no, we couldn't set up the Square. It wouldn't allow us to. The site wouldn't allow me to set up the Square because I don't have their bank account information and they can't give me all the passwords and stuff like that because it's actually Rockland Academy's bank account. So
yeah, we're kind of stuck on that.
It's very difficult. And we'll talk about that.
What are the logistics of the PSP opening our own bank accounts?
Great question. It really is us. It's us getting our own nonprofit would be what we probably have to do. And then I was just talking with Hillary about this and maybe we'll talk about that next year, but that means we're doing our own taxes. So that is money that we'd have to budget into the account. We're going to be doing our own taxes. We're going to have our own 501c3.
You don't pay taxes when you're a nonprofit.
You still have to do a tax form though. You still have to do, I forget, a 901c4 is I think what schools are, or maybe it's a 901c3, but I think it's a 901c4. And you have to do this form called like a 209. And it's a form we'd probably want to hire someone to do it. Even if we're low income, we'd still probably want to hire someone.
I mean, we probably have a parent on staff that may be able to assist us with something like that.
Absolutely. I hope.
When I was on the PSP the first year, this question actually came up because we had asked that question too. And I had spoke to, and I cannot remember his name because my memory sucks, for lack of a better word. He was the president at another location, and I think it's the only PSP that actually got a not-for-profit created for
Rockland
their
Academy
PSP.
Rockland Academy has their own C3 or C4.
And
or
there
whatever it
was
is.
there was a lot of issues with the creation of that. And so when I asked initially if we could go ahead and do that, it was kind of like, it wasn't a no. It was more like, yeah, we really don't want to do that. So, but not to say that it can't happen.
Right.
might not
I feel
be
like
worth
there's
it.
a point where we can't just be combined because we're separate.
Well, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And I'll look into it more. It's just, I think we're too small. I think we really are too small. I almost think you have to make, if I remember back to my union nonprofit days, I think we have to make over $25,000 in income and just nonprofit income a year to be able to actually form a nonprofit. And we don't make that right now.
Yeah, well, then we can maybe revisit that. So, I mean, people, donating checks or cash to the school. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, Venmoing Hillary, I don't see that being a problem. We'll figure out the tax complications.
Venmo, you don't have to pay
So-
taxes over 600 unless it's used for business. So
Oh,
if
okay.
they come at you and ask, you just have to be able to prove to them that it was not a business transaction.
I'll just say, talk to Brittany.
Hey.
So that would answer your question, is send to Hillary, and then Hillary will just write a check and we'll deposit it. But that's my report, unless there's any more questions. My kids being dead. So let me take over for a second. So your report is next, event coordinator, and something about movie night in January.
Yeah. So, I wanted to say thank you all the parents for, that Charleston Wrap fundraiser. I know you already talked about it, but that was on my list too, because that's so amazing. And then we had the Panda Express last week. I went on the website. It's still not showing what our total is. So if I don't get anything in the next couple days, I think I can just call the store to get that info. So I'll do that. And then I reached out to that theater. So we found a location. There's like a little theater that they just opened in Sunrise Mall, and they're very local, and we're very excited to do business with us and let us, work in collaboration to use their location. There's a facilities cost, of course, per hour, but that was nothing different than we were talking about with the Orangeville Parks and Recs. This one's already set up to do what we want it to do. They have like a tech guy that will do all the things with sound and music and movie playing. So we're pretty excited about that. I reached out today to see what they had available. So I'm just going to propose like the last two Fridays in January, like whichever one works for them, if that works for you guys. Mm-hmm. And then Miss Parrott, we just need to talk about picking the movie. So I know last year Miss Smith had, I don't know, the teachers maybe got together and picked some, and then they did a little, it went into each class and had them vote. So whatever method, we determined that you guys probably picked better, No, we don't know what to pick. So
is there a theme? It's just I
don't really know. I mean, we can do whatever we want. We can, once you pick the movie, maybe then we can pick the theme. I think next year we kind of decided we want to try to plan one in December so that we can do
Polar Express kind of.
Yeah, the Polar Express. So
yeah, I wish we could have done that this year, but
I know.
So I'm gonna put in a little plug real quick. If you guys want to experience this theater firsthand this weekend, you guys can come see Avery and the Nutcracker performing there. So just saying, we've got show times at 2 and 6.
On Saturday?
On Saturday, yeah. And then, so this will be my first, I'm there Friday night for dress rehearsal, so I can actually get a feel for it and check it out. So.
Yeah, well, I spoke with Tammy. She's the manager over there, or whatever her capacity is, but she was super nice and excited. She knew about our school. And so anyways, yeah, I was really excited that we could work with her, and that's a great location too. Easy parking. I'll make sure that I get a map of exactly where we need to enter and do the things to get there. But anyways, yeah, and they even have popcorn for us and a popcorn machine. So we could just do some other snacks I know we talked about. So yeah.
Do
That's
you
all I
have a date that you want the movie selection by so that you have time to?
I mean, I guess we would have to make sure it's a movie that we have access to. It sounds like the guy will be in charge of the sound and like the projection of it. So whether that's like a streaming, I don't know how we've done it in the past.
I was going to say, do they want like a streaming file or a DVD?
I'll have to get some clarification on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Just if they, like the first week of January, does that give you enough time?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Between
That's
2 weeks?
perfect.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What is that? January 6th.
No, she's talking about doing the survey.
Oh, the survey.
We're talking about either doing the 20th or the 27th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going on to any other officers. So.
Okay, is there any other topics you want to talk about, Laura or Ryan?
It's officer.
I just have my shameless plug to send your teachers pictures from throughout the school year for the yearbook.
Next week we have like dress up week, right? Where we have like theme days. So that might be cute to get some.
You can't sit there. Move your butt. You can't get up.
Yep. Next week we do have theme days every day. Monday through Thursday. Monday is holiday hat day. Tuesday is Grinch day, so red and green. Wednesday is candy cane day, so red and white. And then Thursday is the school pajama day. So we will get yes, Laura, we will take lots of pictures of those. And I am working on trying to push teachers every week too, of being like, hey, did you upload those pictures? That's a great picture. I'll send it to you. You upload it. So I think that hopefully by January, I think teachers will have some additional time. And we have a PL day. We have another PL. Teachers, I'll remind them on Monday at early release. And then, students come back on the 10th. Teachers come back on the 9th of January. We have another big PL day. So I will add it to our kind of New Year reminders. Here's something we need to get done. And then I'm also giving them the blurbs about the keys coming up too.
Okay, so remind me really quick how we are transferring a large amount of photos, because that just made me remember that I have a bunch of pictures from the last two rallies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have random ones of, the kids playing on the playground. So
Jordan's, last time Jordan gave me a flash drive, which if you have a lot and that's easy and you want to load them all onto one thing, if not, you can send me like a Google picture share, and you can send it to my Google Drive and it will end up as just like a big file drive. But honestly, the flash drive he gave me was great, and I just have it like in a baggie, and that way if there's anything that happens to the files, I have a backup and I don't have to go back and be like, hey, Jordan, resend everything. So I have a couple flash drives that work. So if that would be helpful, I'd be happy to give you one, or you can give them to me and I can give you one back. So if you have a really large number, that's probably the easiest way. If not, you can send them, like I said, in an email or like a big drive drop.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be doing flash drive.
Yeah.
Let's move on so people can leave.
Okay.
No, you have to put your own in. You have to do that in your folder I made you.
Oh, I have to do that part? I have so many on my phone.
I know, you get to do that part.
Oh, man. Okay.
So we're gonna do
I'm on it.
There's no new business.
So you want me to say what? I'm sorry, hold on.
So this is what we talked about last time. This is for process. So she's going to move on to new business.
So I just asked, is there new business?
Is there any new business?
Is there any new business?
Seeing none, moving on.
Seeing none, moving on.
And then old business.
Is there any old business?
Seeing none, moving on. So this is just to have these minutes in the correct order for Robert's rules, that we're doing them correctly, and that when we pass motions, that would be the proper time to pass a motion to raise the budget for art, or to raise the budget for something, or do this or do that, or to pass a motion to spend $1,000 for an art thing. That would, in new business, that would be the proper time for someone to do that. Old business would be something that we have tabled through a meeting. Like we said, okay, well, we put this motion on the table, but we rolled it over to the next meeting. That's old business. So just letting everybody know that's what the process is. And that's why this is how the agendas will be from now on.
Okay, so 2 more awkward things that I have to talk about.
Okay, so we're just open conversation now.
Okay. Open conversations.
So I know I didn't get to do, which is fine, a report on kind of where we're at, but I did want to thank Hillary and all of the PSP who is here. I don't know if you know, but I think there was an idea passed of kind of taking some of the Teacher Appreciation Week funds and kind of redistributing them throughout the remaining months of the school year to help our staff just feel appreciated all of the time. So Hillary has been in the office both supporting our school as a substitute, but also checking in on that PSP kind of area she made for staff, which has had snacks and coffee and cups, and she has done an amazing job of keeping all of that stocked. And I know both Mrs. Leatherman and I have very many times on those chilly mornings have been getting multiple cups of hot coffee. So we just want to say as a collective thank you, that those little things make such a difference that I can't tell you how many times I've seen staff there just being like, gosh, this is so nice. So anyways, we wanted to say a collective thank you to you guys for the idea and just that really quick turnaround of just putting it into action. So thank you for that. And then the only last thing I wanted to just kind of share with us is kind of like a year end as we all head out. We've been collecting data, right? It's what we do at Rockland Academy. It's what we do at school. We look at growth data. We look at academic data. But one of the pieces of data that we don't always talk about as much is SEL data, which stands for social emotional learning. And that is something that through our in-focus curriculum, through our PBIS, through expanding from just classroom PBIS to really more of those school-wide community, being able to build those community events back in, field trips, all of those things that make school more than just coming and sitting and doing the learning. I have to tell you that at first glance, our math data looks great. We have seen huge growth numbers in all classes. So we are very, very proud of our students and their accomplishments. But something that to me is I'm equally proud of is that we administered a survey to students with 6 questions that had to do with how they felt about school, how they felt about themselves as learners, how they felt about being a part of a school and a community, which is a word that we talk with our students a lot about this year. And we set a really high bar for ourselves that 90% of our students, specifically when asked, I feel like I belong at my school and I like being at school, would answer yes. And we administered that survey to all students, and we came out at roughly 94% of our students said that they felt that way. Ironically, the one question that came up as most students saying no was, I like it when my teachers and friends help me in class, but when followed up, it was just because our students really like doing things by themselves. I just want to do it by myself. They said, I don't need my teacher's help. I like it when she helps me, but I don't need it. They want to be very clear about that. So, like I said, it was just, it was such a bright spot because, you know, it is disheartening where we're at. And I think that it's always disheartening, right, when things don't work out. And I came into the school the same way, of an idea of where we were going. But I think we have something really, really special where we are right now. And I think that we collectively have done some really amazing things to make the best, right, of where we are. And the most important thing as we get out of these adult meetings is the kids and all of this. That's always Rockland Academy is, as it benefits students. And we are benefiting all the kids. And I think to see from their mouths that, yes, I feel like I belong to this place. This is my home. This is where I come all these hours of the day. And I have friends and I love my teacher and I love my school and I belong here, was a huge, through kind of all this chaos of where are we going to be, kind of a guiding light that what we are doing is making an impact. And our kids are not sensing any of that. And they feel like this is their school and they feel like this is where they belong. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. I know you all have amazing conversations with your kids outside of school, but that is what they echoed to us in school. So it was a highlight of my week, and I shared that celebration with just about every principal meeting that I can be at because we had really, really high data numbers in that. So, anyways, I'm excited to be able to share you more with math data too. But sometimes I think academics are important, but we're also making people, especially when they're TK through second and third grade. And knowing that they're building that really strong sense of self is equally as important. And so that was my celebration and what I wanted to share with you guys. So, of course, if anybody else has anything, don't want to steal the floor too long, and I know it's getting late. But there you go.
I talked about it.
Oh, okay.
That was the cleaning up the school.
So I do have one question, and I don't mean to bring it down from what you just brought it up, but the security for the school. So the security guard was there for one day. Is that threat still, like, I think you should follow up with the threat is no longer a threat anymore. Those are scary emails. There was an armed guard there. The day before that, the gates were sort of blocked open some days, and people were letting people in. When I dropped off Jeremy, I don't do it that often, and this happened, a while ago. There was a gate that was sort of propped open by everybody, so you could bring your kid in through the side gate to check him in early. And I look back on that, and I'm like, well, now there's an armed guard at the school. So what is the security stance of the school, and what's going on with it?
The armed guard was provided through the lens of the actual temple. So they hired them. They happened to be there that one day to be able to, that was an extended day that the temple had hired them. We are constantly, Ace and Robin in particular, are really working with the temple board and the temple to kind of continue to keep updates on that. We have, and again, I'm working with Mary Frank constantly. The temple guard has continued to be there every day, beginning at 3 o'clock, when there isn't as much staff that is working in the temple office and that is working on campus, but we have students right in after school care. So they have been coming later in the day. So there has been someone there every single day. The sheriff has been doing multiple drive-bys. They were parked there earlier this week, kind of like as they had committed to. We had a lockdown drill today just to reinforce, again, what our safety rules are for students. And then we are working both with the temple staff and our staff to do, and we're adding in like multiple gate checks. We've had the gates serviced, we've had them repaired. The gates no longer are sticking. They've replaced equipment in them to ensure that they don't kind of do that bounce and close, and that we are really, really being really diligent with staff to ensure that that is always closed, locked behind them. We are no longer accepting parents coming in on those side gates and are requesting that we only are using that one gate of entry point. And as much as we can, Christy in the office has put some great new systems in place where for check-in and check-out, we are bringing kids out and escorting them and bringing that sign-out sheet with us so that we, again, are limiting the number of adults that are actually having to come onto campus throughout the school day. Teachers are also ensuring at this point that at all times their doors are closed and locked. And that they are putting systems in place to get students in and out of classrooms in an effective and quick way without being able to have open access to doors. So we are internally working on what we can with our staff. We're collaborating with the temple, but as far as this week goes, as far as I have heard, there has been nothing has been acted on that the temple has communicated to us in terms of any of the vandalism or the dropping off of material or the discussions about any kind of protesting outside. So we are just continuing to do multiple. Mary Frank has been on campus every day. She pops over to the office frequently and just kind of keeping tabs. We have in the past, during weeks like this, if we felt that there were any kind of information that would warrant feeling like there might be people that would be coming by campus, we also have the ability to hire and to contract with additional security. But at this point, we're using all of those internal, keeping the gates closed. And then
I just know your email came on the front of multiple schools in Citrus Heights being shut down and locked down because of those threats that were happening on social media and stuff like that. So, I mean, it came at a bad time for the parents to see that kind of stuff on social media. So
yeah, and it came as soon as we got it. So as soon as we got that in, like we turned that communication around as quick as we can. I will say the temple has amazing security. Like we have buttons in the office that are like immediate calls to the sheriff that we have. Like the systems that they have in place in terms of their building and what they're able to support with us. And they've always been very, very welcoming of, hey, we're going to have this person here. Would you like them to be over in your arrival? Sure. Like we are open to accepting all of their support. Club Otters, again, was dismissing students not from the back. They're dismissing students out of the front. So internally, we're doing what we can and then working with the temple. But of course, if there was any other information that came to Robin directly or that passed through myself, there are additional steps I think that we can take. But for right now, the week has been very, very quiet. We haven't heard of anything from the temple that there's been any word from them that there's anything more so than just what was shared of just that call out from that group.
okay, I appreciate that.
Thanks. Yeah.
There's something in the chat.
Right.
Just a thank you. Okay.
Okay. So if there's no other questions.
Okay. So if there's no other questions, then I guess we're done at 7:24.
Thanks for hanging in, guys. I appreciate
Thank you guys
it.
for all joining. Yeah.
Yes. And look for that. That Otter News will be coming out tomorrow morning. So you should have it in your inbox by 10 or 11 a.m. So, and feel free, like I said, if you have other questions, send them on and I will pass them on to Ace, Robin, Tim, and Larry so that they are kept in the loop of what you guys are thinking and feeling. And again, just appreciate your honest feedback. And we are just going to be in this together, but know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed to being here. I know April is too, and she speaks for a lot of the teachers. So thank you guys. But I hope you guys have a good night. I feel like we'll see you in just a few hours.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.